The summons. For a whole year I lived for my duties. I prayed. I fasted. I gave spiritual help to the sick and the dying. I gave charity, often depriving myself of even the necessaries of life. But I felt a great aridness within me. Grace seemed closed against me. I never found that joy which should spring from the fulfillment of a holy mission. My thoughts were far away, and Clarimonde's words came often to my lips, like the involuntary chorus of a remembered song. "Oh, unhappy man, what have you done?" My brother, think of that. Once I had lifted my eyes to look upon a woman, a fault so understandable. Yet for years I have suffered miserable agonies. The happiness of my life has been destroyed forever. Enough of that. Let me come to the facts of my story. Late one night my doorbell was rung, long and violently rung. The aged housekeeper opened to the stranger. A man deeply bronzed and richly dressed in foreign costume, with a dagger at his waist, appeared in the light from Barbara's lantern. She was terrified, but the stranger reassured her. He needed to see me at once on holy matters. She invited him upstairs where I was about to retire to bed. The stranger told me that his mistress, a very noble lady, was at the point of death, and had called for a priest. I agreed to follow him, took with me the sacred articles necessary for the extreme unction, and followed him in haste. 2 horses, black as the night itself, stood outside the gate, pawed the ground impatiently. Long streams of smoky vapour came from their nostrils. He held the stirrup of one to help me mount, then, using only the pommel of the saddle, vaulted onto the other. His horse bounded forward like an arrow. Since he held my bridle, my horse also started off at a swift gallop, keeping pace with his companion. We devoured the road. The ground flowed beneath us in a long streak of pale grey. The black silhouettes of the trees seemed to flee away on either side. We passed through a forest so gloomy that I felt my flesh creep in superstitious fear. The showers of sparks where our horses' feet struck the stony road glowed behind us like a fiery trail. An observer would have taken us for 2 ghostly spirits riding upon nightmares. Nightbirds shrieked in the depths of the woods, and we saw at intervals the glowing eyes of feral cats. The manes of the horses became dishevelled, sweat streamed over their flanks, and their breath came hard and fast. But if they tried to slacken their pace, he gave a strangely guttural, almost unearthly cry, and they began again to gallop. At last we saw a huge black mass pierced through with many bright points of light. The hoofs of our horses echoed upon a strong wooden drawbridge, and we rode under a great dark archway between 2 enormous towers. Servants with torches were crossing the courtyard in every direction. Lights were ascending and descending from landing to landing, a confused glimpse of vast architecture, columns, arcades, flights of steps, stairways, voluptuous and magnificent, worthy of a worldly palace or that of an elfin prince of fairyland. A page, the same one who had brought me the first message from Clarimonde, helped me to dismount. A major domo in black velvet and golden chain, leaning on an ivory cane, came to meet me. Through tears he cried, too late, Sir Priest. Since you could not save the soul, come at least to watch by the poor body." He took my arm and led me to the death chamber. I wept as bitterly as he did, for the dead woman, I learned to my horror, was Clarimonde. A bronze lamp filled the room with a flickering blue light and created many deceptive and fearsome shadows. I saw a faded white rose upon the table, all but one of the petals fallen to the base of the vase. Death had entered suddenly and unannounced into that sumptuous dwelling. I knelt and began the psalms for the dead. I silently thanked God that he had placed the tomb between me and this woman. In future I might be able to say her name in my prayers. Gradually I tired, I weakened, and I fell silent. That room did not seem like a chamber of death. I was used to the fetid cadaverous smell of the vigil for the dead. Instead, there was a languorous scent of oriental perfume. The flickering light seemed less like the watch tapers lit beside a corpse than a twilight gloom, the light of the boudoir meant for voluptuous pleasure. It was a strange destiny which brought me to Clarimonde again at the very moment when she was lost to me forever. I sighed in regret and anguish. I heard someone else sigh behind me. I turned in fear. Only an echo. But now I was looking for the first time at the deathbed. Red damask curtains decorated with large embroidered flowers, looped up with gold. I could see the fair dead. She lay at full length, with hands joined upon her chest. Dazzling white linen wrappings contrasted sharply with the gloomy purple of the hangings. Fine linen that did nothing to hide her beauty. Even death had not robbed her of her supple grace. She was an alabaster statue carved for the tomb of a queen, a young virgin fallen asleep in the snow and shrouded by it. The scent of half-faded roses penetrated my very brain. I could not pray any more. I paced restlessly up and down, pausing at each turn to gaze at the graceful corpse beneath the transparent shroud. Wild fancies came to me. Perhaps she was not really dead. She might have feigned death to bring me to her castle, and then declare her love. Once I even thought I saw her foot move under the whiteness of the coverings, and slightly disarrange the long, straight folds of the winding sheet. And then I asked myself, is this indeed Clarimonde? What proof do I have? I approached the bed again, focused again on the corpse. Should I confess? The exquisite perfection of that body, made pure and sacred by death, affected me as a man more than it should have done. Her final repose was so like slumber, it could easily be mistaken for sleep. I forgot that I had come here to perform a funeral ceremony. I imagined myself a young bridegroom entering the chamber of the bride, who in modesty hides her face, tries to keep herself veiled. I was heartbroken, but wild with hope, shuddering with fear, and with pleasure. I bent and lifted the corner of the sheet, holding my breath for fear of waking her. My blood hissed in my temples. Sweat poured from my forehead as though I had lifted a great slab of marble. Clarimonde was just as I had seen her on the day of my ordination, no less charming. Death seemed like one final flirtation. The pale cheeks, the blush of her lips, her long eyelashes and dark fringe against the white skin, all seemed unutterably seductive. They spoke of melancholy chastity and mental suffering. Her hair, long and loose, intertwined with little blue flowers, made a shining pillow for her head and hid her naked shoulders in its thick ringlets. Her beautiful white hands were crossed as if in silent prayer, without which all the rest might have been too alluring, even after death. Her bare arms, rounded, polished ivory, still wore her pearl bracelets. I stared silently for a long time. The more I gazed, the less could I believe that life had really abandoned that beautiful body. Perhaps it was imagination, a reflection of the lamplight, but it seemed to me that the blood was again beginning to circulate under that lifeless pallor, although she remained motionless. I laid my hand lightly on her arm. It was cold, but not colder than her hand on the day when it touched mine at the portals of the church. I bent my face over her and bathed her cheek with warm tears. Oh, the bitter despair, the helplessness, the agonies I endured in that long watch. I would have willingly given all my life to her, to breathe into her chill remains the flame that was devouring me. The night wore on, and I knew we must soon part forever. I could not resist the last sad, sweet pleasure of imprinting a kiss upon the dead lips of she who had been my only love. Oh, miracle! A faint breath mingled itself with mine, and Clarimonde's mouth responded to my passionate pressure. Her eyes opened, lighted up with something of their former brilliancy. She uttered a long sigh, uncrossed her arms, put them around my neck, with a look of delight. "Ah, it is you, Romuald!" Her murmur was as languishingly sweet as the dying notes of a harp. "What kept you, my dearest? I waited so long for you that I died. But we are now betrothed. I can see you and visit you. Farewell for now, Romuald. I love you. That is all I wanted to tell you. Your kiss has called me back, and I will give back to you the life you have given me. We shall soon meet again." Her head fell back. Her arms were still around me, still held me. A furious wind burst through the window into the chamber. The last remaining petal of the white rose trembled like a butterfly's wing. Then it detached itself and flew through the open window, taking with it the soul of Clarimonde. The lamp was out, and I fell unconscious upon the bosom of the beautiful dead